guys, welcome to my video presentation. Title of my video presentation is Overview of Malaysian Stock Market. Now, let's look deep into the learning outcomes for today. Learning outcomes. First is to determine the meaning of security and types of securities. Second is to study the Malaysian stock market. Last is to determine the participants and intermediaries in Malaysian stock market. Securities. Securities are fungible and tradable financial instruments used to raise capital in public and private markets. There are primarily three types of securities. First is equity. Equity provides ownership rights to holders. Next is debt. Debt essentially loans repaid with periodic payments. Last is hybrid, which combine aspects of debts and Malaysian stock market. What is a stock market? Stock market refers to the aggregation of buyers and sellers who trade in stocks. Stock market is a broad term that refers to all the companies that list their shares for public investors to buy. It encompasses both primary and secondary markets and is a combination of OTC, over-the-counter, trading, electronic trading and stock exchanges. It is the platform where trading happens, enabling companies to raise capital from the public, for funding their expansion plans. Stock market can be classified as bullish or bearish, depending upon the sentiment of the investors. A market where the investors are looking to buy shares in anticipation of future profits is a bull market. A bear market refers to a market where investors are trying to dispose of their holdings in anticipation of a fall in the market. Now, let's look into stock exchange. Stock exchange is the formal organization that enables companies to list their shares and offer them for sale to the public. Stock exchanges are the entities that facilitate trading in shares by laying down the conditions for listing, providing services to individuals, traders and brokers, and keeping track of price fluctuations and trading volumes. Thus, stock exchanges bring the buyers and sellers together at a common meeting point, which may be physical or virtual.
There are a total of 9 different types of securities in Bursa Malaysia. Let's look into what are types of securities in detail. First is ordinary shares. Ordinary shares is the stocks sold in public exchange. By this, ownership has the rights for the company profit and right to vote in order to elect or dismiss the directors. It is also rank lowest priority in the event of liquidation. Second is preference shares. Preference shares is the shares of companies stocks with dividends are paid to shareholders before common stock dividends are issued. It has fixed dividends and no voting rights. Next is debentures. It is a type of bond or debt instrument that is unsecured by collateral. It rely on creditworthiness and reputation of the issuer for support. Debentures is issued to raise capital and funds. Let's move into loan stock. It is the shares of common or preferred stock that are used as collateral to secure a loan from another party. The fifth types of security is bond. It is the fixed income instrument that represent loans made by investor to a borrower. Next is warrant. It is call option issued by the company. It gives the right but not obligation to purchase or sell the security at a predetermined price and period. Next is call option. It is similar to warrant but issued by investment bank. Exchange Traded Fund, ETF, is a type of collection of securities such as stocks. It allows investor to buy or sell exposure to an index through a single financial statement. ETF share prices fluctuate all day as it is bought and sold. Last types of security is real estate investment trust, REIT. It is a company that owns, OPERTs or finance income producing properties. It is highly liquid as most of it are publicly traded.
Let's explore the third learning outcomes is to determine the participants and intermediaries in the Malaysian stock market. The participants and intermediaries in the Malaysian stock market are stockbrokers, investment bankers, custodian and depot service providers, portfolio managers, market makers and retail investors. Stockbrokers. Stockbrokers are licensed professionals who buy and sell securities on behalf of investors. They act as intermediaries between stock exchanges and investors. Example of stockbroker is Kinaga Investment Bank. Investment bankers. Investment bankers are companies that want to go public via IPO or companies that involved in pending mergers and acquisitions. They take care of listing process in compliance with the regulatory requirements of stock market. Example is Malaysian banking Berhad. Next is custodian and depot service providers. It is the institution that hold customers' securities for safekeeping in order to minimize the risk of loss or profit. It operates in sync with the exchange transfer shares to or from the respective accounts of transaction parties based in trading on the stock market. Example is Bank Negara Malaysia. Portfolio managers are professionals that invest in portfolios or collection of securities for clients. They get recommendation from the analyst and make the buy or sell decisions for the portfolio. For example, mutual fund companies, hedge fund and pension use this to make decisions and set investment strategies. Next is market makers. Market maker is a broker-dealer that facilitates the trading of shares by posting bid and ask prices along maintaining inventory of shares. They ensure sufficient liquidity in the market from the shares and profits from the differences between the bid and ask price he quotes. Example of market maker is Afan Huang Investment Bank Berhad. Last is retail investor. Retail investor is an individual investor or non-professional investor who buys and sells securities, mutual funds or exchange-traded funds, ETF, through traditional or online brokerage firms or other types of investment accounts. The investor purchases security for their own personal account and trade in smaller accounts. That's all for today's lesson, and let me recapture what we have studied. First, we have studied about the definition of security, types of security, the types of securities which are debt, equity and hybrid of debt and equity. Next, we have studied about the Malaysian stock market, Bursa Malaysia, and types of securities in that Bursa Malaysia. Lastly, we studied about the participants and intermediaries in Malaysian stock market. I hope you guys understand today's lesson, and if there is any question, always feel free to ask. Thank you.